We're rolling.
Okay. Gentlemen, hello. We are going to talk football a little bit, but we're going to do it briefly because I just want to say this. I love you both. You're both good friends of mine, but I'm done. Can we, as a fan base, as dual fan bases of both the Giants and the Jets, can we finally just agree to put the last nail in the coffin and not talk about it again this year? Like, I ask this sincerely. I ask this with all due respect. It's time it's time to move on, children. It's time to go. We're gonna let Brian go first. Brian, I'm gonna let you do the eulogy for this year's Jets right now, and then we're not gonna talk about Aaron Rodgers anymore. We're not gonna talk about you topping Zach Wilson anymore. We're gonna talk about other stuff for at least a few months.
Oh, it was an ugly death. And I will not stop talking about topping Zach Wilson because if I speak about it enough, I may speak it into existence.
Yeah.
Manifest, right? That's called manifest.
You have to manifest. Yeah. You have to manifest it.
Put it in the world, yeah.
It was an ugly death this Sunday. The O-line got plowed like a twink in a Senate hearing room. That was
topical jokes, kids.
Topical jokes.
I love it. That's great. That's great.
I know this is a sports podcast, but I wish I could talk about the twink in the Senate hearing room. That being said, that's my credit right now. That's my only credit. That was me. That was me.
I didn't hear that story. I gotta look that up.
Some Senate staffer got caught getting plowed like in the Senate chambers somewhere, like in a place where you're not supposed to be having gay sex or really any sex.
You're not supposed to be having any sex of any kind.
There's no sex in the Senate.
But you know what? He said if they can storm the Capitol, this guy can storm my rectum. That is exactly.
Yeah.
So speaking of getting their butt, so I would say the Jets got their buttholes, and the Giants got their buttholes stormed. They did.
They absolutely got their buttholes. I mean, it was the worst they played all season. I honestly think, and I only have seen like a few games this season. Like I've been traveling a lot, so like I've seen like I'd say more than half of the games like fully. Some games I missed, but I can honestly say this was probably the worst they played. Even worse than when they got killed by the Dolphins with Tim Boyle. I mean, and it's not even Zach Wilson's fault because they took him out and they put Simeon in, and the O-line was just horrible. And then the defense, as good as our defense has been, the Dolphins offense has just been on fire this year. So it was embarrassing, especially the first quarter. Zach Wilson just got pummeled
by Brian personally. Right. That's a different replay that's coming later. But you know what's funny is that the recap you just gave of the Jets game could also apply to the Giants game. It was the worst they looked all year. The O-line couldn't hold shit. The backup quarterback couldn't do shit because that's, where it is. And that's it. You can just put a damn fork in it. It really is. And this is why I started the show with saying that I beg of you fellas, if we're going to talk football, we can. But let's talk about other topics within football because it's just, look, I don't know why everybody this whole week was hyped about the fact that fucking Zach Wilson played one good game in his career, and why the fact that the Giants fans, were living in this fantasy world where a 5-8 team was somehow going to run the table, including beating the Eagles twice and make the playoffs. Those things, that was never going to happen. And look, everyone was all excited. Oh, Tommy DeVito, dude, he beat 3 of the shittiest teams in the fucking league. I'm so tired of that's why I'm glad they lost, because it's it. We're done. Put a fork in them. I don't want to talk about it anymore this year. No, I'm serious. I know, like, it sounds like I'm ranting, as I fucking am. It's just, are want to talk about something else. We have other stuff going on. I don't know if you follow the Rangers. The Rangers had a killer. Well, they don't call it a walk-off in hockey, a sudden death victory in Boston, in their house a couple days ago. But no, we have to talk about fucking, is Aaron Rodgers going to get his body massage? And is he going to? No, we're done. We don't have to talk about this anymore this year. I'm done.
Yeah. One thing I want to say though, you're absolutely right. Like all of that, like Zach Wilson, like actually having like a good game, beating the Texans, and like the whole Tommy DeVito story arc. It was all morale wins.
Oh yeah.
It was just to keep the mass suicide staved off of the tri-state area. Basically, that was the only thing that Tommy DeVito and Zach Wilson and the prospect that Aaron Rodgers may come back. Oh no, don't worry, he will. Oh no, don't worry. Fuck off.
He does that every week. He's his own hype man. He likes being in front of the camera. The Tommy DeVito thing now, he's doubling his fee to appear at pizzerias in New Jersey.
Is that true?
And they're saying, well, we can't afford 20,000 instead of 10,000. So he's making offers they can refuse. Haha.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's from
The
Godfather.
Yeah. What movie is that?
Being an asshole.
I've written so much stand-up about Tommy DeVito, so I got like 1 week to do it. But it looks like the story's. I know. It looks like the story is winding down. But yeah, it's all morale victory. It's like when a coach gets fired and they win next week for the new guy. That's really all it is. And I'm happy for him. It was fun. It was exciting to see him. I still hope there's more fun to come for him. Or whatever he does next, whether he's still with the Giants or in the booth or whatever. Who knows where he goes? But I've enjoyed it, and I was happy about that. But as a team, they need a lot. They need a lot.
And piggybacking off what you just said, they need a lot. And this fantasy world people were in, where suddenly this local, because look, he seems like a nice guy, but he is a townie. This fantasy world where a townie was going to save the New York Giants and carry them to the promised land. It was always crazy.
I don't know.
It was fun. Don't get me wrong. I'm not Italian, but like I have a lot of friends who are. They've been really enjoying it. You are, of course, Mike.
Yeah,
but
it's fun.
At some point, it was going to come crashing down, and it
was like insanity. People were saying today. Now that he's getting rich, now that they're turning down his fee and all that stuff. I think he was signing tomorrow. He's signing autographs at the Morris Township Card Show. So that's like $50.
I love how you know this off the top of your head.
I was gonna go, but I have work to do. I have all my plans have changed all week. So that's a Tommy DeVito. His agent is a whole new thing, and he dressed like the Lucky Charms guy the other night, and whatever. It's been a little fun show, but I'm not looking forward to Daniel Jones coming back, but
I don't even think Daniel Jones is looking forward to Daniel Jones. I think he hopes he gets traded.
Not with that.
Sincerely, I think
he's got a Tommy Cutlet shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got one too.
Yeah. So I want to hop back to the Jets before we talk about other football stuff. I want to say that it's done. The Giants. I've been begging you for weeks to we don't want to talk about the Giants, but I think that this loss actually benefits the Jets long term. Brian, and tell me if you think I'm wrong because you're obviously a Jets fan. Now that they lost and they're out of it, they're not going to do anything stupid like try to bring back a 41-year-old quarterback back from an ACL after 2 months. Okay, they're just going to rest him, get him ready for next year, make a real run at it when they have a real QB next year. Is that kind of the sentiment in Jets land right now?
I feel like that's kind of like my sentiment, and it's just like, I mean, if Aaron Rodgers is like, oh no, I'm going to come back, like for the last few weeks, I'm going to come back. It felt like such an insult to an intelligence. So, which Jets fans usually don't have that, but just obviously we have him for one more year. Let's see what he does next year. And this season is an L, and let's just have fun.
Yeah, exactly. And like we said a few weeks ago,
like the next two games that we're going to play.
Ticket prices are going down. So I just want to say, as dual fan bases, both teams at the same time, 1:00 this past Sunday, saw their seasons finally come to an end. It's over. We don't have to deal with it anymore. We're going to talk a little more football right now, but I just want to say, moving forward, I want to get some more Knicks in here. I want to get some more Nets in here. Rangers, obviously, they're crushing it this year.
Yep.
It's time to let it go. It's time to get off the gridiron, fellas.
Pitchers and catchers.
There we go. Yeah, in about 2 months or so.
2 months.
Speaking of low ticket prices, though, I want to talk about. Did you guys see what happened with the Panthers this past week?
Yeah.
So, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, this is the perfect storm, literally. It rained like hell in the Carolinas down there, wherever the stadium is, and they're playing against the Falcons, who I guess the Falcons are in contention, even though they're like 6-8 or something, because that division's terrible.
Yeah.
And 2 bad teams, raining Sunday, and there were tickets being reportedly sold for 45 cents.
That's like. It's like 1951. Yeah, like, that's nothing.
Literally,
I would have went.
Dude, I'm saying, if we lived with like an hour and a half of there, you and I, we would have all been up in the nosebleeds, just chilling, drinking our $14 beers or however much they are down there.
Great.
Yeah, it was crazy. So and by the way, for those of you who all 3 of you maybe listen to this on the audio version, come over to the YouTube sometime, because this episode is going to have a lot more visuals going on. But Mike, if you want to put up that picture, we have to talk about this. This was at an NFL game, a National Football League game.
It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. And I read a statistic that there were 2 high school games in Texas that had championships that had better attendance than this game.
Yeah, I was going to say bad college teams fill up their stadium. Sorry, go ahead.
No. And then this looks like the Nets, like before they went to Brooklyn. Like this would be like if my dad's like, let's go see the Nets on like a Tuesday. Like, it was. Yeah, I mean, I've seen bad. I'm a Mets fan. I've seen games that have been very poorly attended, especially at the previous Shea Stadium.
Oh yeah,
David.
I've seen Yankee games. Yeah.
But football games usually sell out more, so this is abysmal. Yeah.
Do we know when this was taken during the game? Like, is this during a quarter?
This picture, no, but it looks like there's. I think this is probably right before the game, right? Because it looks like people are doing some kind of something. Yeah. I mean, even if this doubled, it was still embarrassing.
Yeah.
As far as people, now look, in their defense, there might have been people who are just kind of standing back on the concourses, kind of staying out of the rain. Sure, fair enough. But that only adds, at best, 15 or 20K extra people to what looks like. I mean, maybe, I don't know how many tickets they actually sold or how many people actually showed up. They probably sold all the tickets because, like Brian said, NFL games generally all sell out automatically. Right. So the fact that the attendance was this terrible is it's hilarious and embarrassing on so many levels.
You need to give a tax break to people that attended this game. If they were like, listen, you don't have to pay income tax, then this stadium would probably fill up. But for 45 cents during a terrible weather to watch, I mean, the Panthers ended up winning, but it was 7-9. It was 9-7 that they won. It was a terrible game too. It was 4 hours of 2 touchdowns and a field goal, like for a 2-point conversion. Rather,
well, they're probably going to get the number 1 pick, right? Yeah.
I mean, the Panthers are the worst team in the league.
Yeah. So they'll get the first pick, and they'll draft what's his name out of college.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you would have you'd have to basically write off income tax. Like the IRS would be like, you know what, you get a freebie if you attended this game. And then you would have these people.
This is less people that listen. This is less people that listen to our podcast. That's how little people.
Wouldn't that be nice? All right, so we're gonna move along. Mike, do you have the rest of the pictures ready?
I do indeed.
All right, so we're going to go from a stadium that is not sold out to a stadium that is. Now, we're going to play a quick game here. So put up the first image. We're going to play a game, okay?
Okay.
Now, let me ask you guys, what city do you think this picture was taken in?
It looks like San Francisco.
Wrong.
Wrong?
Ohio.
Okay.
I mean, that's not a city, but like.
Well, I kind of figured it out based on looking at the uniforms on the field.
It looks like 49. Yeah, it looks like the 49ers. I would say.
Now the 49ers are a team that was playing in this game,
right?
But this picture was not from San Francisco. Now put up the next picture, Mike. We're gonna keep playing this game.
Okay.
Okay. Now this one makes it a little bit easier. Okay.
Is it the same game? The same game?
No, this is a different. These are 3 different pictures. Now, this is the same one. Now, this one's a little easier. Now, what city, based on the field? Obviously, this is Las Vegas. But look around in the seats. You see a lot of what color?
A lot of red.
More specifically, a lot of orange.
Orange, yeah, it is orange. Okay.
Now, is orange the colors of the Raiders, fellas?
No.
That is correct, Mike. Good. Now let's go to the last picture.
Okay.
Let's go to the last picture.
This is hard.
I feel like this is some fucked up test.
It is.
Like
Now, here, ready? Where do you think this picture was taken?
New Jersey. It's the Jersey Shore.
Honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if it was just like if they just shipped in Packers fans at a Giants game.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so you see the guy on the very right who's got his head down like this. Who
he looks ashamed. Yeah.
Now, can you go back to the second one?
Yeah.
All 3 of those pictures were taken in this stadium.
Oh, that's terrible.
That is absolutely fucking embarrassing. And that's something that's been going on for a while. And it happened. I couldn't find the video. There was a video that Vikings fans this past weekend did the same thing. And the whole stadium was purple.
I think they were talking about that in the radio today. Yeah.
They were talking about that in the radio. And so basically, this is something that's been going on since the Raiders moved to Vegas, is that everybody, because there's only 8 or 9 home games. I don't know if you remember the conversation we had about the A's, where I went on a 20-minute long anger rant about how it's not going to work in Vegas. Yeah. This is sort of evidence that adds to my point, which is that all you're going to get is people that just lost money gambling who got comp tickets or road fans. There's not going to be a fan base in there isn't because the Raiders. I went to an Oakland Raiders game years ago. That was home field advantage. That was hardcore. Those are some of the most tough-ass motherfucking fans I've ever seen. This right here is some weak-ass shit. This right here is just it's embarrassing on so many levels. The fact that you have 90% opposing fans at almost every single game. It's crazy.
Usually when a team transplant. It's a transplant city.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's tourist transplants.
It's where people visit to gamble and get HPV and
get buried in the desert.
Have gambling that they'll never be able to pay off. So yeah, it makes sense that they haven't cultivated a fan base, and it's crazy because Oakland used to be the most savage, rabid fan base ever.
Yeah, I've been there.
Like, terrified to go to their game. Like they were like almost as bad as Eagles fans. Like they were notoriously diehard.
The Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
And this right here is going to have ramifications for a couple reasons. The first, because the thing is, these ticket prices, the reason why all these the stands are this full of opposing fans, they have the highest ticket prices in the league because they get jacked up by the fact that the casinos buy them. They sell them in packages to tourists. Oh, come stay at our hotel for 4 nights and you'll get a ticket to the game. So people will come in and exactly. You got whatever, lose some money gambling. We'll upgrade your seats maybe. I don't know what the case may be individually, but the fact is, it's all corporate controlled, and the prices are too high for locals to go. And so this is what you have now in Vegas. You essentially just have a team that plays on the road 17 games a year. And this is going to affect, secondly, their free agency. Because what player in their right mind would go, oh, yeah, I want to play what are essentially all road games every single year?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
This is like, when they say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, that's true because there's no Raiders fans there. They don't know what's going on, essentially. And in this picture, you have George Santos showing up, waving a towel, which is nice. But no, it's none of the fans are going to. Oakland fans aren't going to go out of spite, and I'm glad they aren't going. And same thing with the A's fans; they're not going to go out of spite. I want to get that. I want to get that Oakland Bees hat, by the way, just as a protest. And then
same. That's a sick hat.
It's going to take a while to build up a following, but Vegas is still not ready for sports. They had the NBA All-Star game there. They've been trying to get. It's going to be a while, but again, I think you're right, Phil, in your points about people are just going there. They're going to go to the game because it's part of the vacation to Vegas. So I don't know. I don't know what it's like living there. I don't know. Ask Jimmy Kimmel. He's from Vegas. I don't know. Do people like going to sports? I would imagine they do, or they're just not used to it. I don't know. So this is pretty embarrassing right now. It's not going to bode well for NBA and whoever moves there next. It's going to take a while for this to become a sports town.
Well, the fact is, even if it does, the ticket prices are so high because they're bought up by the tourists and the corporations and the casinos that the locals can't go. I would imagine that there's at least some sports bars in the area that are packed out with Raiders fans that are a sick atmosphere. But the fact that the stadium itself is not it fucking sucks for them, man. That's super, especially considering that, like Brian was saying, Oakland used to be hardcore. Like that was a scary stadium to go to as a visiting fan. And now you go and you go to Vegas, you send your wife to the spa, you send your daughter to a show, you go and you have a little apple teeny, and then you go to watch your team play on the road against the Raiders. Like it's so lame and soft and weak, and I feel bad for the real fans because this is what happens when everything just becomes corporatized and bought out.
Is that your impression of George Santos as a Steelers fan?
No, that's my impression of like a lame, pathetic married guy who doesn't get to make any decisions for himself, but yet he somehow convinces his family to go to Vegas one weekend a year to go to a fucking football game.
Well, it's hard
he can get drunk and forget about everything that's gone wrong in his life.
It's hard to compete with free prostitution, not free prostitution, but legal prostitution. Also.
I was gonna say free.
They have that there, not free. If it's free, forget it, and then nobody's going. But I wonder how low they have to lower those prices to just get no one to show up at the football games. So I don't have anything much more to say about that. I just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention how unbelievably pathetic this is. I don't have a whole lot more to go over. If you guys just want to hop into the
let's hop into the fight.
We'll hop in.
We got a commercial and a fight. Do you want to do the fight first today, or what do you want to do, Mike?
Let's do the commercial first because I like ended with the fight. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So the commercial, I picked this out. I found this. It's of no relevance to anything for the holiday season, but I thought it was funny, so we're gonna take a look. This is let's just play it.
It's not just athletes that get athlete's foot. Innocent men, women, and children can get it too, just by coming in contact with it. And man, does it itch. Well, the first itch you feel, you spray on MP27. MP27 will kill that athlete's foot fungus and help keep it from coming back. Believe me, I've seen a whole lot of scratching going on.
We know you have.
MP27 is the end of the itch.
Okay.
You think he took a can home and picked up a few women and
directed this commercial?
He took a can of that stuff home and said, "I got these 3 girls coming tonight. I'm saving this for later, for tomorrow morning." I'm not going
to top that joke, Brian.
Tarantino.
Wait, play it again with no sound. I need to acknowledge these massive and credit to those people for having this commercial. Look at these like massive feet that are behind him, because this is probably done with a green screen, right? This is like in the 60s or 70s.
Those are real big feet, actually, that they found.
We're hitting the foot fetish market so hard right now. That's going to be our demographic.
Yo, do you like sports and feet? Tune into Nosebleeders. Yeah.
It is Tarantino. It's got the feet. It's got the 70s clothes. Yeah.
The end of the itch. This seems like a much critic to Bionic Disco once again. This seems like a much more low budget version of like those Madden commercials from the late 90s where it was like boom, tough acting, tin acting.
Right.
Because he had the spray thing too, but he didn't have to kneel down and pretend to spray a massive 9-foot wide foot for some reason.
Just the ending is great.
I've seen a whole lot of scratching going on.
Between innings in the dugout in the bedroom. We know, we get it, Mick. You've been around a few times. We all admire you.
We understand.
Yeah. He's like, believe me, I know about scratching, but not on my feet. Crabs, am I right? Am I right?
Right, Roger? Right, Billy? Right, Whitey? So, I can't. Does it get better than this? I mean, this is just great. Mickey Mantle, gotta love him.
What year is this together?
I didn't see the year. I think it was in 1970. Pretty sure it was the 70s. Based on the pants alone, it has to be the 70s.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But
what year did he die? I don't even know.
95. So that was.
I thought you said the commercial was from 95. I'm like,
no.
That's 85 at best.
1975, so 20 years before. It says that's what it says in the title. So
there we go. Thank you, Bionic Disco, for that 1975.
He died in 95. You're
right. Good times.
Yeah. So for the fight, this I came across today, and it blew my mind that this was actually a thing. So this goes back to 1963, if I'm not mistaken.
All right. Old
school hockey. I had to piece this together from a few clips because there's not a lot of old hockey footage. I'm just trying to double check the date. It happened on October 30th in 19. Come on, you gotta want it. We don't have time for this, Mike. Come on. I want the year because it's important. Okay, 1963 to put in October 30th, 1963 to put in contest. This became known as the stink in the rink, something to that effect. And it's with future Hall of Famer Bob. Well, let's watch it. I'll go through this stuff after. So this is. I'll talk through it. Here we go. It's the best way to explain. Turn the sound off. So, all right. So not those two guys. So this is the Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs, and this is. I'll give you the names of the guys. So this is Bob Pulford, future Hall. Well, he became a Hall of Famer for the Maple Leafs, and he's fighting with Terry Harper of the Canadiens. So you see them right there against the glass, checking each other. It gets a little rough. Okay. And then it kind of calms down. Okay, nothing much. Then they go at it in front of the Canadiens bench.
All right, so Canadiens are in white. All right, got it.
No helmets back then. They didn't wear helmets. The goalies didn't even wear helmets, I think, at this point. 1963, they're fighting it up. So obviously, he levels he levels the guy in the Canadiens with one hand. Now, back then, as you'll notice, that is the guy in the Canadiens sitting there, and the guy he just got into a fight with is sitting next to him. They used one penalty box for both teams, for both guys back then. There was no separate penalty box. So,
this is going to end well. Hey, those guys who are beating the shit out of each other, guys, sit down next to each other and promise to behave.
Exactly.
I love how in the 60s they're like we'll segregate our water fountains, but not our penalty box.
Exactly. And look at this. This spills into the stands. I mean, there was no glass around them, no nothing.
This is great.
I mean, it's a fight. It ain't a hockey fight now. They're still pulling their jerseys, but it's a full out fight at this point. And it turns out it's just a replay. 10 days later, on November 8th, in Toronto, they built a separate penalty box for each team, and then the rest of the league followed after that.
So this right here was the fight that did it. This is sports history right here. That's cool.
This is the fight that changed hockey forever in terms of creating two separate penalty boxes. So the guy who basically words were said when they got in the penalty box, and obviously they hate each other because they were just fighting. And I
love how the ump doesn't even try to break it up. He does this motion one time, and it's like, actually, you know what? You guys carry on.
Yeah, which is still kind of how it goes in American hockey. But yeah, even back then, it's funny. Yeah. And back then, I was listening to the little mini documentary about it. They had these people who would sit on each side of the players who were kind of neutral, retired cops or players. They said the retired people. I don't know who to get. They weren't even in between them. They put the people next to each other, and the people watching the box were over here. What are they going to do? Nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
No masks. Nobody wore helmets and masks back then. Even look at the goalies. No masks, no helmets. That's just how they played. I believe it was called the stink on the rink.
Stink in the rink. This is fun. I mean, it had
Incredible.
A fight in the penalty box. It had a little bit of the stands involved. I like that it was black and white, grainy footage. And I learned something. I learned something from this fight, so I'm gonna give this an 8.
Give it an 8. Okay.
I'm gonna give it an 8. Thought it was great.
Brian, go ahead.
I'll even go one further. I'll give it a 9.
Wow. All right. Hell yeah.
This was a good. This was a really good call. Hockey fights are fun. Obviously, you want to be a little more objective because they're the best kind. They're obviously the best kind of fights because they're the definition of brawls. But yeah, we learned something. We had a little PBS moment. real quick in our thirst for violence. And yeah, I mean, like seeing just two guys in the penalty box sitting next to each other just beat the shit out of each other. This was good. This is what we like to see. It was violent. It was also original too. Fists were thrown. Yeah, I'm gonna give this a 9.
Hell yeah, Mike, close it out.
Yeah,
what do you got?
I agree. I have to give it a 9 just because of the cultural significance of this fight. That I didn't know this was even a thing. I saw it today on like an Instagram reel. I went and I looked it up. I don't know if it's officially called the Stink in the Rink, but the guy who was talking about it in the video kept calling it that as like an unofficial name. And it almost spilled into the stands. But what is this? I have to donate money? Oh, that's Wikipedia. Never mind. I thought our thing was running out of money for a minute here. No, I had Wikipedia open for a second. Sorry. Yeah, give it a 9. Fantastic. And it also led me to a future fight we're going to look at involving another Maple Leafs player and Nosebleeders Hall of Famer who we haven't even covered him yet, and he's already in the Hall of Fame. Ty Domi, one of the biggest brawlers in NHL history. So that's coming up soon. Stay tuned, kids, for Ty Domi and his penalty box brawl.
We'll see you very soon then.
Good night.